Which organ controls all body functions? Which organ purifies the blood? What part of the body helps you breathe? Which is the largest organ of the human body? What part of the body pumps blood? Which organ helps in digestion by producing bile? Which organ stores urine? What part of the body connects bones together? Which part of the body helps us to balance? What is the main function of the lungs? What part of the body has 206 bones? Which is the longest bone in the human body? What part of the brain controls balance? What is the color of healthy human blood? What organ helps in filtering waste from blood? What part of the body controls movement? Which organ helps in producing insulin? Which organ detoxifies chemicals in the body? Which system includes the brain and spinal cord? Which body system transports oxygen? What is the hardest substance in the body? What part of the body helps detect light? What is the smallest bone in the human body? What part of the ear helps maintain balance? Which organ helps to break down food? What organ connects the mouth and stomach? Which part of the body helps to detect smell? Which part of the eye controls light entry? What system protects the body from diseases? Which body part contains alveoli? What part of the body produces red blood cells? What is the largest muscle in the human body? Which organ is responsible for hearing? What part of the body is also called the voice box? What connects muscles to bones? What part of the brain controls breathing and heartbeat? What is the function of the heart valves? Which part of the body contains taste buds? Which organ is part of both digestive and endocrine systems? What organ helps in speech and sound production? Which part of the brain controls thinking and memory? What system provides structural support to the body? What organ regulates body temperature? Which part of the body absorbs nutrients? Which organ is part of the lymphatic system? What is the largest artery in the body? What part of the body removes carbon dioxide from the blood? Which organ produces bile? What part of the body is responsible for reflex actions? What is the main organ of the circulatory system? Which organ produces hormones regulating metabolism? What system includes the skin, hair, and nails? Which part of the brain controls voluntary movement? What type of blood cells fight infections? Which organ stores bile? Where does gas exchange occur in the lungs? Which part of the eye is responsible for colour vision? Which system regulates hormones in the body? Which organ stores and concentrates urine? What part of the brain controls involuntary actions? Which structure connects muscles to bones? What part of the ear is responsible for hearing? Which hormone regulates blood sugar levels? What is the main function of the large intestine? Which organ is responsible for detoxifying drugs? What part of the blood carries oxygen? Which system includes the heart, blood, and vessels? What part of the body produces digestive enzymes? Which organ produces gametes in males? Which organ produces gametes in females? What system controls body movement and posture? Which organ stores iron and recycles red blood cells? What is the main function of platelets? Which system removes metabolic waste from the body? What part of the brain controls vision? Which part of the brain processes auditory information? What part of the nervous system controls reflexes? Which type of joint allows rotation? What organ produces digestive acids? Which system transports hormones throughout the body? What is the primary function of the rib cage? Which organ filters blood to form urine? What type of tissue connects bones to muscles? Which organ regulates calcium in the body? What part of the brain controls language comprehension? Which system includes the trachea and lungs? Which gland produces adrenaline? Which part of the blood carries nutrients? What organ produces digestive enzymes and hormones? Which organ regulates fluid balance in the body? What is the function of the cerebellum? Which part of the brain controls reasoning and logic? Which organ stores glucose in the form of glycogen? What part of the eye focuses light onto the retina? Which system protects the body from external injury? Which organ produces mucus in the respiratory system? What is the primary function of red blood cells? Which system helps in regulating body temperature? What organ secretes digestive enzymes into the small intestine? Which system controls all voluntary and involuntary actions? So, how many did you get right? Comment below your score. Let's see who's the real geography genius. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and get ready for the next fun quiz.